What is up, YouTube? That's it here, bringing you guys the next episode of my top 5 Pokemon for each type. Today, we're going to be taking a look at electric types, and you guys know that I like some electric types. Speed is what the game is all about. If you got the speed that you need to succeed, you're going to win pretty much every single game. It's the most important stat in the game, and electric types are known for being some of the fastest, bestest, and even some of the strongest Pokemon in the game. And believe it or not, electric is actually like a really good defensive type. Think about what its weaknesses are. It's ground. Like, that's it. You know, like, just don't eat those EQs, and you're gonna be dandy. You're gonna win every single game. So I'm gonna mess with my camera for a sec because it decided to fall just a little bit. And then we're gonna get into this, guys. I also just want to say, if you haven't yet, get ready to type in the comments and leave your top 5 electric Pokemon for Let's Go Pokemon Pikachu and Eevee in the comments below. And as always, please, if you guys watched to the end of the video, please leave a comment and let me know. I'm working on a little bit of a project. This really helps to see who watches like to the end, and I can kind of gauge that and compare it with my analytics. It really helps grow the channel, and it really does help me out. So we're gonna start this off right away, and we're gonna get right on into it. And so we're gonna go back to my Pokemon box. Remember, the way that we do this here, guys, is I'm gonna go over each Pokemon. I'm gonna go over their natures. I'm gonna go over like all their movesets and stuff like that, and then I'm gonna recommend some stuff, and then you guys can you know, decide if you guys like my list or not. So we're gonna start things off with my boy Magneton. Peace out, Caterpie. Maybe next time. Yeah, we're gonna be starting off the list with Magneton. And, you know, I think there's like 8 or 9 fully evolved electric Pokemon in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And some of you guys might think, wow, Magneton's on his list? That's kind of weird. And a couple of you guys that are like the really good players, I know you guys are thinking like, wow, Magneton's only 5th? Magneton's so broken. Why is it only 5th? Well, remember what I said about electrics only having like one weakness, and that's ground? Well, Magneton has a few more. It has ground, it has fire, it has fighting, and that's 4 times weak to ground. So while Magneton has that steel typing, you know, to make it resist like just so many things. It resists like grass, it resists like everything, and it resists psychic. It's one of the best Pokemon at dealing certain things, but it has a lot more common weaknesses, and that's why it's only 5th at my list. So we're going to be hopping into Magneton. We're going to look at some natures. We're going to look at some movesets. Note that this one is sassy, and you do not have to use sassy. Literally, the reason why I have a sassy Magneton is because this one's from Pokemon Go. If we press the judge button, you can see it for a Pokemon Go Magneton. That's not bad. Common natures for Magneton. You're really going to be rocking a modest Magneton, but you can also get away with using like calm, and you can also get away with using bold. Those are 3 natures that are going to be great, like modest, calm, bold. I've seen people use timid. Magneton actually isn't like a slouch. I know a lot of people think like Magneton kind of sucks because you can use Magnezone in other games, but Magneton itself is just a great Pokemon. It has a huge base special attack, and it's one of the few steel types in the game. Think about steel types. You got like Magneton, Alolan Dugtrio, Alolan Sandslash. I didn't forget about it. I always forget about it. And then like Melmetal. But other than that, there's not that many steel types, and it's not that steel is like some amazing offensive typing. You don't really need steel type attacks, but like steel electric is a really unique type, because if you know that they're gonna be switching in something like a Rhydon to be able to like block your Thunderbolt, and you can read that if you're playing proactive, you can hit him in the face with one of the biggest flash cannons, and you could probably go for the 2-shot, because Magneton isn't super slow. It's not as fast as a bunch of the other electric types, but you know, it's slow. It's fast enough to like 2-shot a Rhydon and go first. So yeah, 80 power, special attack, flash cannon. Magneton isn't really going to be like a sweeper. Like as Magneton's role in a team, it's not really going to be like a sweeper. It's not really going to be a wall. It's going to be more like a... You'd play this thing more like a tank, I would say. Switch it in on an attack that it resists because it has its amazing defensive typing. And then you can go for a Thunder Wave to cripple them. You know, it's going to paralyze them, incapacitate them, cut their speed in half. And, you know, it's great against, like, Mewtwo. It's great against things that are really fast, that are just gonna run you over, run your whole team over. They got a Mega Beedrill, slap him in the face with a Thunder Wave, you know, if you don't eat a Drill Run, you know. It's just, Thunder Wave is just a really good move. And also, like, Magneton gets, like, Light Screen. You could put, like, Sub, you could put Toxic. We're gonna look at its moves, like, its TMs in a minute. But, you know, I'd really recommend the Thunderbolt. I'd really recommend the Thunder Wave. I'd really recommend the Flash Cannon. But he also learns, like, other cool attacks, like Tri-Attack and stuff like that. So Magneton, you know, it's gonna be played as, like, a bulky tank. And, you know, you're not going to be sweeping people with this, but this is the type of Pokemon, the longer you keep it in the back. Holy moly, there's someone in the stream when I'm not streaming. Hold on. Someone came. All right, so this is how it works. You can see that I'm talking in the chat here, like with this person. I type all that stuff up in the chat, and I used it just like as a placeholder, like, you know, don't forget to sub, don't forget to click the notification bell. And they came and just saw that, and yeah, I'm recording it, I'm not streaming. It's kind of funny. It's funny how this always happens, how I just get that's hilarious. Anyways, Magneton's great. We're gonna look at some moves. Maybe this is a shout out to them. They're probably gonna get a kick out of that. So yeah, we're gonna go look at some TMs. And guys, if you guys have any questions about Magneton or any of my top 5, please leave those in the comments below. So yeah, not gonna be ordering any blizzards or brick breaks. Remember, this thing's mostly gonna be a special attacker. It'd be really cool if it got like Calm Mind, but unfortunately it doesn't. Doesn't even get Dark Pulse. Doesn't get any of these cool moves. Doesn't even get D-Gleam. No fire attacks from this steel type. No foul play. I think it'd be really cool. If you could get foul play on this thing, I really might recommend it, but you can't. Got that flash cannon on lock. Can't learn Helping Hand, no hands. No ice attacks either. Yeah, this thing doesn't get Mega Drain. It gets the Light Screen, right? No Psychic. It can learn Reflect. So you can choose between Light Screen and Reflect. I really do recommend the use of Light Screen. If we think about most Pokemon in the game, what are some of the best Pokemon in the game? You got like Mewtwo, Alakazam, Gengar, Starmie, you know, all those things are special attackers. So that's why on a lot of my teams, you're going to see it a lot in this video too. I really like to use Light Screen if I have the choice over Light Screen and Reflect. I like to use Light Screen. I really do like Reflect, but more often than not, you know, it's not that big a deal. So Reflect's an option. You know, let me know if you guys like Reflect over Light Screen in the comments. No Scald, no Roost, no Slides. It can rest, but actually, Magneton is a pretty funny rest animation. When it's like closing its eyes when it's sleeping, it's kind of funny. It can't learn Self-Destruct, which is kind of weird because I think it like learns Explosion. Like back in the day, Magneton used to Self-Destruct on me all the time, I'm pretty sure. No Shadow Ball, no Sludge Bomb. It can get Sub. I've used Sub on it before. It's pretty good. You would think that it might be able to get Rocks, but unfortunately it can't. I think it would be really cool if it got Rocks. No Solar Beams, no Surfs, no Taunt. It can learn Teleport. So, you know, think about that. It has really good defensive typing. I talked in my last video about really good teleport users. You can come with Magneton, set up a Thunder Wave, soak some damage, and then teleport out safely into literally whatever you want, and it's actually pretty good. So I really might recommend teleport on it. Let me know what you guys think about teleport on Magneton. Has the Thunderbolt, no X-Scissor, no Will-O-Wisp. It can learn Toxic. I've seen people use Toxic, but you don't really want to like clash Toxic and Thunder Wave users on the same team. It doesn't really work. Sometimes you might need Thunder to do a little bit extra damage, and other than that, that's pretty much it for Magneton. So that's going to be the 5th best electric type Pokemon in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, in my opinion. So we're going to move on to number 4. Number 4, it's actually going to be Jolteon. You've been seeing me using Jolteon a lot lately. You've been seeing me use Jolteon a lot lately. It was my most recent team building video with Mega Gengar. We're going to look what makes Jolteon so special. And for this one, I actually have like a really good Jolteon to show off. See that it's timid, got those good IVs. Note that Jolteon is like the literal definition of a sweeper, of a glass cannon. This thing is going to hit fast, and it's going to hit relatively hard. Jolteon separates itself from like other electric types because its base special attack is actually decent. If you think about things like Electrode, who's like really fast, you know, it doesn't have that much special attack. It sacrifices everything for speed. Jolteon has just enough speed, base 130, to speed tie Mewtwo's, to speed tie Aerodactyls, to speed tie Mega Gengars. So it's going to speed tie all of those. That's one of the reasons why it's number 4 instead of like really high, because even though we're timid, even though we're as fast as possible, the best we can do is tie them. But what's really good is we can actually KO things like Aerodactyl. So Jolteon is going to be a sweeper. This is going to be a great lead Pokemon because it has so many good options. We're going to look at my moveset here, and I'm not going to lie, this is the moveset. Like, if you want to get the max value out of Jolteon, this is how you play it. And I know you guys are asking, why aren't you using Shadow Ball? I've answered this question so many times. I'm happy to answer it again, just because I know there's one person that hasn't heard it. So we're going to talk about Shadow Ball right now. We're going to talk about Shadow Ball. So we have Thunderbolt here, right? Thunderbolt is a 90 base move. Thanks to the same type attack bonus, or stab, it's going to get a 50% boost to the move. So in that case, we're going to get a 45 power boost to Thunderbolt, making it a 135. So if it's just neutral damage, like I'm just hitting you with the Thunderbolt. If you have a Mewtwo, if you have an Alakazam, if you have a Gengar, and I'm hitting you with the Thunderbolt, it's a base 135. Now, if I had Shadow Ball, it's an 80 base power move. It's a ghost move. I don't stab that. I'm not a ghost type. So if I were to use Shadow Ball against Alakazam, Gengar, and Mewtwo, it doubles power, because that's what super effective does, and goes up to 160. So that's only a 25 base power increase, which you're not getting a KO off of. It's not putting anything in KO range. You don't get a KO on anything for using Shadow Ball from full health, from Timid Jolteon, or even Modest Jolteon, if I'm pretty sure. So you're not getting anything out of it, and you're getting a 25 base power move, and it costs you a move slot. You have to lose one of these moves to put the Shadow Ball. So I've seen a lot of people say, like, you need to run Shadow Ball, you can't hit any ground types. Jolteon's not supposed to fight ground types. What are you going to Shadow Ball a Rhydon? You're not Shadow Balling Rhydon, you're switching. And unfortunately, the fact that, like, we don't really have any good moves to use against ground types is one of the reasons why Jolteon is number 4 on the list. Like, it doesn't have that many options against those things. But what it does have is screens. Like, we have Reflect and Light Screen. We have room for both of these things on this Pokemon, and we're so fast, we're almost going to be able to get this thing off every single time. Like, if they lead Rhydon, and, you know, you want to switch, but, like, he might be using Rocks, it could be Earthquake, and just pop a Reflect. Let him set up his Rocks, let him Earthquake, he's not going to KO anything, and then you can switch, and then you're safe. So it's pretty good. Also note that it has Thunder Wave. One of the main reasons why I have Thunder Wave on this thing is sometimes, like, late game, you can't really KO stuff with Thunderbolt. Like, let's say they do have, like, a Mega Alakazam, or, like, anything that's super fast you can't really do anything with Thunderbolt. Pop a Thunder Wave, set your screen of choice. Jolteon's going to go down most likely, but, you know, you've neutered that thing, and you've set a screen, and, like, you can't put a price on that, like, late game. So we're going to look at some moves that Jolteon can get. Also note, I really recommend, I know I briefly touched on it earlier, you have to be Speed Nature with Jolteon. It will not work in any of the other ones because you're already speed tying. You have the same base speed as things like Mewtwo, Aerodactyl, Mega Gengar. You have the same base speed as those things, so you have to be Speed Natured if you even want a chance to fight them correctly. So we're going to go into some moves here. None of these moves are really doing that much. You can talk about using Thunder. I've one-shotted Aerodactyls with Thunderbolt on Jolteon. I think they actually have to be careful to live, but Thunder will also do the job, and it'll make sure, like, those careful ones go down. I'm already rocking Thunder Wave. Jolteon actually doesn't learn that many moves. Like, we're actually just going to go over these, and we're going to talk about the ones that it can learn, because it can't really learn that many moves. It can learn Toxic. I've seen Toxic on Jolteon. It's pretty good, especially because you have, like, the screens. I've seen, like, Rest and, like, Toxic and stuff like that. I don't really recommend it because I really like the Thunder Wave potential better, but it's kind of funny. No taunts, not even teleport on this thing, very surprising. I haven't really seen people use sub on Jolteon, but, you know, it's definitely usable. And there's that Shadow Ball. Guys, I know people are going to talk about it in the chat. Shadow Ball is just not a good move. It's too weak. It's too weak. Things have to be like 100 base power or have the ability to be 4 times super effective on something for me to, like, warrant using them and costing a move slot. It's just not what I'm about at all. No Sludge Bomb, no recovery moves. It can get that Rest right there. You can get Protect, no Psychic. We got the screens. Other than that, like, it can earn Helping Hand for doubles. It's actually a really good Pokemon in doubles. Dude, I should make top 5 lists for doubles as well. That'd be pretty sick. Learns Facade, but remember, this thing's going to be mostly special attacks, even though it can get stuff like Dig. That's a physical attack. You don't want physical attacks. You gotta go special. It can't even learn Calm Mind. Like I said, Jolteon has a very limited move pool, but it has a very particular set of skills. Skills that make it great for defeating opponents of very high caliber. Like, think about a lot of the stuff people use. They use, like, Aerodactyl, Gyarados, Mewtwo, Alakazam. Like, Jolteon can technically, like, fight all those. Thunderbolts against the flying types, Thunder Wave, screens, break the wrist, walk away against pretty much everything else. Jolteon's a great Pokemon, but the fact that it speed ties a lot of those things is why it's 4th on the list. So we're going to be moving on to number 3, and, you know, Jolteon was pretty fast, so we're going to be going to a Pokemon that's not as fast, but has so much more, like, variety than Jolteon. We're actually using Alolan Raichu, and note that we're using Alolan Raichu over regular Raichu. You can technically use Alolan Raichu. If I were using Alolan Raichu, I'd probably put regular Raichu at, like, 6th or 7th on my top list or whatever like that. Regular Raichu's great. It's just that, man, it is so sad that it doesn't get Psychic. So it's like, we're going to check out Alolan Raichu here. Note that, we're going to be using a timid one. You gotta be timid. You have to be speed-natured. I mean, you don't have to be timid per se. I mean, timid is the best nature on this thing because we're using special attacks, but you have to be speed-natured. That's timid, hasty, naive, all those things like that, because you're going to be a base 110 Pokemon, and base 110 Pokemon, you got to be timid so you outspeed all those base 100s and base 109s. Like, Alolan Ninetales is base 109, regular Ninetales is base 100, Charizard's base 100, Zapdos is base 100, Moltres is also base 100. There's so many base 100 Pokemon that you need to be able to outspeed. Also, you need to be able to outspeed all those base, like, 95 Pokemon that are also speed-natured. So you have to be speed-natured with Alolan Raichu, even regular Raichu. They're both base 110, and you kind of just have to. Let's look at this. Look at this. Just, This is a gift from one of my people in my Discord. What a nice guy giving me a... This thing's not easy to get. Like, you got a soft reset for these things. So, what a nice guy, helped me out. I think he bottle capped it too. So yeah, we're going to check out some moves here. This is the move set that we're talking about right now. You got Sub, you got Calm Mind, and you have Psychic Thunderbolts. Note that I made a team building video talking about using Encore over Substitute. Now, Encore is a move. You only have 5 PP, so I'd recommend if you're ever using Encore, you gotta PP max it to get 8 Encores. But what it does is it makes your opponent use the last move they used for the next 3 turns. And that's really good. If you're playing doubles and they use Protect, they have to like spam Protect, and you can take that time to just set up Calm Minds and get a special attack, special defense boost. If they, if they're going to use Toxic, well, you can just Encore them into Toxic and they're stuck using Toxic. If they want to use Stealth Rocks, Encore them into Stealth Rocks, they just have to spam Stealth Rocks or switch. Either way, you're getting Calm Minds for free off of it. It's really good, but Encore is like a really like high skill ceiling move. You have to know when is the right time to use Encore, and if you do know the right times to bust out that hidden Encore, it's super, super good, but it's a really, really complicated move to play for beginners, so, you know, most of the time I just recommend the Substitute. But what makes Alolan Raichu better than regular Raichu? It's all the Psychic here. It's the fact that it gets Psychic and it stabs Psychic. Remember, one of the biggest problems with, like, Raichu in general and Jolteon was that you can't hit ground types. Well, now you can, and you stab it. So, like, if I have an Alolan Raichu, and you're like, I'm gonna switch in my Rhydon to block the Thunderbolt, I'm gonna two-shot you with Psychic. That's what's gonna happen. Psychic's also really good. Think about most of the grass Pokemon in the game. Think about it. Like Vileplume, Venusaur, they're grass. Poison. Poison, weak to Psychic. Alolan Raichu destroys those things. You got the subs, you got the Calm Minds. One Calm Mind, you're going to tear through everything. Like, Alolan Raichu is so good. It also gets access to moves like Fake Out. Like I said, Encore is super good. This Pokemon is amazing. Like, if there was like a tier list, it sucks this Pokemon's still on the list, but it'd still be in like the bottom of like the A tier, S tier. This Pokemon is so good. It's going to be so fast, and it's going to hit a lot harder than you think. It's just so strong. I really, really recommend it if you haven't tried it yet. And we're going to go look at some TMs. It doesn't learn like a ton of TMs, but, you know, it does. Having access to, like, Psychic typing, I've always said the Pokemon that just splash Psychic typing become amazing. Like, Executor, yeah, but then it's like Psychic, you're like, it's like that Drake meme. It's like, pass, and then you say, like, but add Psychic typing. It's like, yeah, that's good. Starmie's another great example. The #1 Pokemon in my water list. Like, water typing, it's like, I guess that's okay. But then you add Psychic and you're like, I like that. Psychic is a great offensive and defensive typing. This Pokemon is another example. Let's think of like another example from other games like Delphox. Really, really unique typing. Fire Psychic, that's so unique. It lets Delphox do things that like no other Pokemon can do. And Alolan Raichu is a great example. So we're going to start things off. Obviously, we got the Calm Mind. And I think, again, it'd be easier to talk about the moves that you can learn. Raichu, again, is going to be you know, a special sweeper, more of a glass cannon, but it's also one of those setup mons. You know, you're going to be, what the playstyle you're going to want to have with Raichu is you're going to want to send it out at the correct time where you can threaten a KO with something, and then since you know they're going to switch, pop that Calm Mind, and then the thing they switch into, you're just going to two-shot them. And remember, Calm Mind boosts your special D as well as your defense, so you know, you don't really need to set up, like, white screens with Raichu or anything like. So if you're ever thinking about using, like, white screen on Alolan Raichu, just use Calm Mind instead, because you're going to get the same amount of boost, and you're going to be able to boost your stats even higher. So, again, just because it can learn stuff like Dig, that's a physical attack. You don't want physical attacks. You want special attacks. And, yeah, Facade, again, physical attack, you don't really want it. So we're going to talk about... Let's see, Helping Hand's great in doubles. Yeah, there's the light screen. Again, you don't really need the light screen because you have access to moves like Calm Mind. I've seen people use Reflect. You know, I ain't gonna knock it. Reflect can definitely be there instead of Sub. That's all up to you, but I'd still rather run Encore over all of those moves. That, like, kind of rhymed. Anyway, so we're talking about can learn any other useful moves. Can't even learn Shadow Ball. That's how you know it's a good Pokemon. Can't even learn Shadow Ball. I'm just not a fan of that move in, like, any situation. I swear. It's not my jam. It can learn Teleport. It is a Psychic type. I don't really recommend it, but, you know, maybe someone will show me up. Can't learn Taunt. That'd be busted. If it got Taunt, that'd be busted. Can't get U-Turn. It can learn Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave's a very good move. When in doubt, guys, if you ever just have a random Pokemon and you're like, man, I don't know what moves to put on this Pokemon, and it can learn Thunder Wave, put Thunder Wave on it. Thunder Wave's like top 3 best moves in the game. Speed control is king. I swear, speed is the most important stat, and Thunder Wave is just busted. You should just start off by seeing like what Pokemon can learn Thunder Wave, and just build a team out of those Pokemon. Thunder Wave is that good. So, we're going to go into the next Pokemon. You can see a lot of these Pokemon learn a lot of the same moves. Electric Pokemon aren't really known for their diverse move pool, and that's one of the reasons why Alolan Raichu is so good, because it's one of the few Pokemon that like splashes a little bit something extra with like Psychic and Calm Minds that most electric Pokemon just don't have access to. So we're going to go into the second best Pokemon, and some of you guys are freaking out. You're like, that's a Zapdos? Only number 2? You must be crazy. Putting Zapdos, the legendary electric Pokemon, the best typing. Remember, my only weakness for electric was ground, and now Zapdos, like, he doesn't even have that ground weakness. I mean, he adds rock and ice and everything nice on top of that, but Zapdos is really, really good, but I still think it's only the second best electric type, because I think Zapdos, it shares too many weaknesses with too many other Pokemon that you want to be using. You want to use Gyarados and Zapdos. Well, you got a big weakness to Stealth Rocks, a really big one. I want to use, Gyarados, Zapdos, Aerodactyl, even more weaknesses to Stealth Rocks, even more weaknesses to Ice. So Zapdos is really, really good, but it's also really easy to play around it. Like, would Zapdos be really, really good if you couldn't switch it out that often and took 25% of your health every single time you wanted to use it? Like, obviously Zapdos is going to be better than most electric types just by its huge base stat boost, but if you think about it, you got to kind of like draw back that base stat boost, because you got to realize you're taking 25% every time you bring this thing in. Note that mine's quirky, because I got it from Pokemon Go. Oh, what are my IVs? I'm curious. That's not bad. I'm not very fast. Recommended nature for Zapdos. You're going to want something like modest or timid with this thing, but I've also seen people go like bold. I've seen calm Zapdoses, but I've also seen like mixed Zapdoses that are like naive and other things like that, because you actually can run Drill Peck on this thing. And personally, if I had the chance to like remake my Zapdos, I would totally use Drill Peck. I love seeing Drill Peck Zapdos, and this is one of the only games you can really do it. You couldn't do that in other games, because obviously Drill Peck's not very good, and when you're building Eevees on Zapdos in other games that have like Eevee training and stuff, you just don't ever put any points in attack. And remember guys, Drill Peck is a physical attack, but it actually lets you use your flying typing to check like grass types like Venusaur and Parasect, so it's kind of funny. I really like seeing people use Drill Peck on Zapdos. Always catches me off guard, and I always think it's hilarious, but we're not going to talk about Drill Peck today. We'll acknowledge the fact that Drill Peck exists and say that's cool, but that's not what we're about. So again, Zapdos is going to be one of those Pokemon that can do pretty much everything. It can be a sweeper because it has base 100 speed. It's going to be really strong. It's going to be really fast. It's, I think, the hardest hitting electric type in the game, and it's one of the faster ones. And it gets a really good move pool. And this Pokemon just busted. It's like it's a super S tier Pokemon. But it can also be played like a wall with like Roost and Sub and Toxic. So we're going to look at the moveset that I have detailed here. Just a standard wall set. We got standard wall set. I got Sub, I got Roost, I got Thunderwave, Thunderbolt. A lot of people would really cut the Thunderwave for Toxic here. I totally agree with that. Nothing wrong with putting Toxic there. I've used it before, but I really think you need Sub. I think you need Roost. This is what makes this Pokemon good. You set up your status condition, and then you just wall them out with Sub and Roost and Thunderbolt anything that asks any questions. Like, just break the wrist, walk away, and they're never going to be able to KO you. So, like, you're going to send out a Zapdos to fight their Gyarados, right? And they're like, I don't want to fight Zapdos. No, thank you. On that switch, you can pop a Thunder Wave. On that switch, you can pop a Substitute. On that switch, if you took a lot of damage from multiple turns of Stealth Rocks, you could pop a Roost and go back up to full. Or you can just click that Thunderbolt, and whatever they're switching to, you're a legendary Pokemon. You have so much special attack. You're gonna do so much damage with the Thunderbolt. So, like, Zapdos is just busted. And one of the cool things about Zapdos is it learns so many TMs. So many TMs. We're gonna go into the TM list right now. And we're gonna talk about it. Obviously got that Thunder Wave. Obviously gets that Thunder. But, there's the Toxic. Like, I know most people would, guys, leave those comments below talking about your sets. I know you're all have Toxic on Zapdos, and, I want to start a discussion. Like, please, leave your list, leave your sets. I want to see how you guys use the Pokemon that you use, and I want to actually see if we can come together as a community to make even better sets. So, Toxic's really good. A lot of people use U-Turn on Zapdos. So many people use U-Turn on Zapdos. I think this is the most common move on Zapdos. Always. I don't like it, though. I don't. It's 70 base, right? And you're a special attacker. It's a physical attack. I understand you want to keep up the momentum. And a lot of people are used to using Volt Switch on Zapdos. That's why they do it. I'm pretty sure, like, some popular person, like some other PokeTuber or some other streamer, probably started using U-Turn Zapdos and people just copied it. That's why everyone does it. But I do not think this is good. I would rather hard switch. it's not worth the move slot, in my opinion. It's just not worth the move slot. Sure, you're keeping up the momentum, and this lets you react to them, because if they switch, like, if they switch first, like, let's say, like, this happened to me on stream the other day. I had a Kingler out, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna switch, because I don't want to eat a Thunderbolt. So I switched into, like, something. I don't really remember what it was, and then he U-turned me, and I was like, wow, it's a really good read. You know, and if, let's, like, change it, remember, because U-turn goes after your switch. If you were just a hard switch out and I were to hard switch out, he doesn't know what I'm switching to. He could have been putting himself in a bad position. So it's thanks to U-turn that he was able to keep up his momentum, keep continuing to pin me. So U-turn's really good for those situations. But, like, I don't know. It doesn't work teleport. I was going to be like, it works the same way as teleport, but I'm just not a fan of it. It's very good. It has its usefulness, but I feel that, like, Zapdos is a Pokemon that already has, like, 6 moves competing for its move slot, and I just don't think U-turn's good enough to use, in my opinion. Or at the very least, I'm a good enough player to where I don't need the help that U-turn provides. That's, like, a better way to put it. I'm not trying to stroke my own ego here, but I am just trying to say that, like, U-turn helps you keep the momentum, but I don't need help keeping my momentum. I already know how to do that. So, no Will-O-Wisp, obviously the Thunderbolt. It can't get Taunt. Nothing on this list can learn the best move in the game, Taunt, yet, unfortunately. No Water attacks. Back in the day, Zapdos got Heat Wave through Move Tutor. I don't think it can Heat Wave anymore. That was busted, by the way. No Shadow Ball. Nothing like this. There's the Roost. It's pretty good. It can learn Reflect. And back in Gen 4, Diamond and Pearl, I used to use the Reflect Zapdos all the time. It was pretty good. Let's see. It can learn Light Screen. That's pretty good. One of the bad things about Zapdos is it can't really use, like, its flying typing. It can learn Fly, and it can learn Drill Peck, but remember, those are physical moves, and I do think it's kind of funny, because if, like, it's happened to me, like, I've been like, alright, cool, I need to switch in my Venusaur to wall this Zapdos, and they just Drill Peck you, and you're like, stop Drill Pecking me! You know, it's crazy. Zapdos is one of the best mix attackers, because, like, its base stats are just so much higher than everything that you're actually afforded the luxury to do stuff like that. Can't get Foul Play, obviously no Flamethrower, no EQ, no Fire Attacks, no D-Gleam either. Yep, that's pretty much it. No Calm Mind. Yeah, Zapdos is a really good Pokemon. Other than the moveset I listed, like moves like Toxic, moves like U-Turn, Screens, those are all really good choices on Zapdos, and I think Zapdos, its only thing holding it back is its weakness to rocks. Like, I actually really do like that it's a flying type, but it's like rocks are so prevalent that when you're building a team, like, well, so let's say I'm building a team. If I want to use an Aerodactyl and a Zapdos, so that's 2 Pokemon that have weaknesses to rocks, weakness to rock moves in general, then weakness to, like, ice on top of that. If I want to use those 2 Pokemon, which are completely common Pokemon, it really locks me into, like, a team building scenario in which, wow, I can't have any more Pokemon that have weaknesses to those types, otherwise I risk just losing the game to, like, Stealth Rock's getting set up, or an Aerodactyl. So, like, at that point, if I want to use Aerodactyl and Zapdos, I can no longer use any other flying types, any fire Pokemon. I can't use any of them, because they're weak against all those things. I can't use, like, bug Pokemon. I can't use certain grass-type Pokemon that have weaknesses to ice. You see how that really locks you into team building? And so, Zapdos is the perfect type of Pokemon that says, like, with great power comes great responsibility, because Zapdos is the type of Pokemon that can win games all by itself, but it really locks you in a very, like, specific type of team to use it in the first place. So hopefully you get that. Hopefully you guys have all been there when team building. You're like, team building's so hard. Like, how do you know what team to build? And, you know, you never want to have more than 2 really big weaknesses to certain things. And I think Zapdos, it comes with a lot of really good bonuses, but it also comes with a few really common weaknesses, and that's why it's not number 1. Not number 1, like my boy. Like my boy. You know who it is. Yo, this guy's probably still in my chat. Actually, I'm just going to see if he's in my chat. He's still in the chat, but, like, I'm going to put the emotes up. You know number 1. You know who it is. Oh, it's my boy. It's Electrode. Electrode is the best electric Pokemon. Like, I want you guys to question me. I want you guys to leave a comment and say, like, why you think Electrode isn't number 1. I will have this discussion. I will talk with you. I don't want to argue, but, like, I will defend Electrode until the end of my days, because Electrode is just, like, the best Pokemon in the game. Maybe other than Parasect. It's the best, like, non-legendary. And, like, I'm putting it over Zapdos in this team. Electrode is so good. It's base 150 speed. Base 150. It's so fast. It's always going to go first. Unless you're, like, speed tying Mega Alakazams and stuff like that. But, like, You're always going to go first. Do you know how important that is? If you're not first, you're last. You have to go first. And knowing that you're going to go first, it lets you play with so much more confidence. Like, look at that face. It's just full of confidence. So let's talk about the moves that I have on my Electrode that really promote going first. One thing Electrode gets that none of these Pokemon actually gets is Taunt. Taunt is one of the best moves in the game. You've heard me talk about it multiple times. The target is taunted into a rage that allows it to use only attacking moves. That means if I lead with Electrode, 100%, if I lead with Electrode and I click Taunt, you are not using Stealth Rocks. You will not have Rocks up. And do you know how important that is? How many games have you guys seen on my channel where I taunt the Aerodactyl and they went for Stealth Rocks? Or I'll taunt the Rhydon and they totally went for Stealth Rocks, taunt their Dugtrio. Same thing. No Stealth Rocks. Do you know how the luxury that affords me to play? Like, if I have I can make a team now that is every single one of my other Pokemon, all 5 of them. I can put the rest of my Pokemon have huge weaknesses to Stealth Rocks. I can make a team with, like, Butterfree, Charizard, Zapdos, everything. I can have all my Pokemon be so weak to Stealth Rocks, and this Pokemon is the one that makes it work, because you cannot Stealth Rocks me in the first turn. Which means you can Stealth Rocks me later, sure, but, like, I'm not just going to fodder my thing that stops your rocks. I'm going to play smart. But being able to automatically say, no Stealth Rocks, no Calm Mind, no Substitute, no Toxic, no nothing. Like, just stop. It's so good. It's absolutely, it's control. That's what it is. Electrode is the perfect Pokemon for control playstyles, and it's just the best. Note that I have Light Screen on this thing. I think it also does get Reflect, but I already talked about the fact that it might be nice to put Reflect on this thing because its only real weakness is Earthquake. I think that's kind of funny. I guess you could actually make arguments for it, but again, think about the things we're fighting. I want Electrode to come in, taunt the Stealth Rocks users, Thunder Wave all the sweepers, and Light Screen the things like Mewtwo's and Alakazams and make it so the rest of my team can succeed. And note that we use Thunder on Electrode. And I've used this before. Thunder can KO like a bunch of stuff. I originally had my calcs wrong. When I originally calced Thunder for, like, Aerodactyls and stuff. You actually can't KO Aerodactyls with Thunder, but, like, at this point, I really just like Thunder. Thunder does get you a couple KOs on a couple things, but it's mostly the fact that Thunder, look at that accuracy, it's not good, but you gotta believe. You just gotta believe. You could totally use Thunderbolt. I have no problem with Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt will still get, like, the same 2-shot potential that Thunder will give you on a lot of Pokemon, but I think having Thunder is really going to be beneficial, because Thunder actually gives you KOs after Rocks on a lot of Pokemon, and if you have Stealth Rocks up, and you go for a Thunder on an Aerodactyl, you're going to get the KO versus a Thunderbolt wouldn't. Same thing against, like, Gyarados. Same thing against, Moltres. You know, a lot of Pokemon like that. So I still really do recommend the Thunder. And again, Thunder has a 30% chance to paralyze. And sometimes, you know, against like a Mewtwo, if you're like late game, or like an Alakazam or something like that, you need to go for damage and a para. And that's what Thunder does. You just gotta have faith. So this is Electrode. This is the set that I like. We're gonna go look at some moves that Electrode can get. I know a lot of people like some very specific TMs on this thing, and he does get a lot of like really good TMs. So we're gonna talk about some moves. Electrode obviously can't learn Calm Mind. I think it'd be really cool. I would totally use it because its only really weakness is its bad special attack stat. Can't learn that many attacks, but it can learn Foul Play. I've seen a lot of people use Foul Play to check those Psychic types. It's really, really good against like Mewtwo X, and it's also like a one-shot against Mega Beedrill. And Mega Beedrill's a Pokemon that is pretty decent against Electrode. Like, Drill Run does a lot of damage, and Mega Beedrill is also, like, a really common lead, so, like, Foul Play's pretty good. It does one-shot, I mean, my Beedrill's been one-shotted by Foul Play, and Foul Play works based off your opponent's stats, so I'm just gonna say that Foul Play one-shots Mega Beedrill. It's actually really, really good. Can't learn Flash Cannon. I think it's surprising. I think it should learn Flash Cannon. Obviously, it can't learn Helping Hand. Doesn't have any hands. That's pretty funny. So other than that, Electrode doesn't get that many other moves. There's the Light Screen. No Psychic. It can learn Reflect. So if you guys want to use Reflect, you know, feel free to go for that. I'm just used to playing with Light Screen, and I'm the type of guy that when I build teams and when I use stuff, I go with my inherent like gut. Like I'm like, all right, Light Screen for XYZ reasons. And if I never am questioned or am never forced to switch it, if I never have like a situation where I think like, wow, Light Screen's really not cutting it, Reflect might work. If it's never not working for me, I don't ever feel the need to like fix it, you know? It's not just a going with your gut type thing. It's like, that's the way you play Pokemon. You make whatever movesets, whatever Pokemon, use whatever you want, and then you slowly switch out what doesn't work. And Light Screen has just totally worked for me, so I'm going to keep it. So other than that, no Shadow Ball. Gets that Self-Destruct. No, thank you. That's a physical attack. Electrode is a sweeper. It is a lead. You're going to be leading with Electrode almost every single time you guys use it. There's the Thunderbolt. It can learn Teleport. I've seen people use Teleport in Electrode. It's actually pretty decent because again, you want to like set that Thunder Wave, Thunderbolt, go away. You can go for a taunt. Once you know what they're going to do, you can safely teleport. Remember, teleport has a negative priority, so it's going to go last. So it lets Electrode soak some damage. Maybe you got a screen up, and you can teleport something safely to start setting up. There's that taunt that we need to succeed. I've seen people use Toxic, and I think it's the last move that learns out of all these. Yep. So that is my top 5. I want to talk about a Pokemon here. We're going to talk about one more Pokemon that does something that none of the other ones do, that I think is like a Phantom 6th Mon, right? We're doing a top 6 this time, because we're only going to briefly talk about it. Because I feel this Pokemon deserves a shout out. I feel it deserves a shout out because I feel this Pokemon works harder than all the other ones, and it doesn't really get recognition. I know so many of you guys are going to talk about Golem. That's not what I'm looking for. It's not Golem. I thought about it, but it's not Golem. Where is it? Where's my boy? Where is my boy? There he is. We're actually going to talk about him for just a second. Just a second. So we're going to go to Electabuzz, right? This is my Electabuzz right here. Don't disregard the nature. Electabuzz has really decent stats. You'd be surprised. I used this Pokemon in my very first files. Look at that set. There's no electric type that has both Taunt and Psychic and Thunderbolt. So if you guys are looking for like a random filler Pokemon that can do like a lot of stuff, this is like a poor man's Alolan Raichu. I know a lot of people are like, I can't get Alolan Raichu. What do I use instead of Alolan Raichu? Use an Electabuzz. It's pretty much the same thing, and it has Taunt. So Electabuzz coming in at Phantom 6th. So, how do we do this? This is my order. Electabuzz. They're probably gonna have a better way to do this. Nope, I did it right. It just took forever to switch everything. There we go. Yeah, that's right. The list. That's right. Apparently we got to follow. We got Chip of Flavorous. Just following the channel when the stream's not even live. My guy, what dedication. Yo, so we had Electrode, the best electric Pokemon in my opinion. Then Zapdos number 2, Alolan Raichu number 3, Jolteon's number 4, Magneton's number 5, and Electabuzz is Phantom 6. Because I felt that set really needed a shout out. Because Electabuzz can do so many things. It can be physical, it can be special, and the fact that it gets Taunt and other really like good moves makes it just a super good Pokemon. So I want to know, guys, did you guys like the list? Did you guys enjoy this video? Please leave some comments below. Let's start a discussion. And remember, guys, to let me know what type you want to see me use next time. And let me know if you watched the whole thing. It really does help me out, guys. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you have a great day. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.